Well, I wear a lot of hats, but my main responsibilities are export. I do national sales, and I do PR, communications. So my husband is third generation, and he's been running the business for 35 years. His grandfather, Louis Honig, purchased this property in 1964. He was in the advertising business. He had an advertising firm in San Francisco. He purchased the property because he was enamored with the wine business and had a dream of someday retiring and making wine. Unfortunately, he passed away in the mid-70s, so he never got to do that. And my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and Michael's aunt and uncle, my husband's aunt and uncle, inherited the property. They decided to, they founded the winery and decided to make a wine in their father's honor. So in 1980, they hired a gentleman to get the winery up and running because they had different careers, and founded the business in 1980. This gentleman started making just one wine, a Sauvignon Blanc. And a couple years into that, they realized that he knew how to make wine, but didn't know how to sell or market wine. So they were struggling, and Michael is the oldest of the four siblings, and he had grown up in San Francisco, but spent weekends and summers in Rutherford, and he felt that if the property sold, they would never be able to afford as a family to buy it again. So he asked his dad if he could leave college at the age of 21 and try to make the business work and keep it in the family, and his dad said go for it. So he started selling in 1983, started selling door-to-door Sauvignon Blanc in restaurants in San Francisco, telling people why they should have a Sauvignon Blanc on their wine list and why it should be Honig. And every afternoon he'd go out and sell, and every morning he'd make his deliveries. And he did that for a solid 10 years, and then we started making Cabernet Sauvignon. But that's all we make, so we still continue to be. We've grown, obviously. We're in all 50 states now and in about 25 countries, but we continue to be family-owned, family-run, and only make Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Sauvignon. Michael always says, if you ever see a Honig Chardonnay in the market, you'll know I've died. Yeah, he was my mentor and the reason I got into the wine business. So I grew up in Buenos Aires, and then I went to college in South Florida, and I ended up in a wine class as an elective, and my professor was Chip Cassidy, who at the time was a part-time professor at Florida International University and also the wine director at Crown Wine and Spirits they had 25 stores in South Florida. So after taking his class, I just really fell in love with the business, and he had this passion about it that was contagious, and I became his teaching assistant, and then I went to intern at one of the stores, and then he got me to learn, he'd make me sit down and read and follow him around and listen to stories and meet with distributor sales reps with them, and he really got me excited and engaged in the business. No, I'm very lucky, and I adore him. Yeah, no, he's the best. Yeah. Well, I grew up in Buenos Aires, which is a big city, but I have visited Mendoza. I used to make a wine in Salta, in Cafayate. Yes, trying to remember what year. 04, 05, 06, 07. I made a Torrontés, a white wine, and so I'm more familiar with that area. And it's very rustic. It's kind of what I would imagine Napa Valley being 50 years ago. Because I started having kids, and I got more involved in Honig. I've been involved in Honig since 06, but I got more involved in Honig, and I had to choose where to focus. And the other brand, the Torrontés was a partnership with a winery in Salta, which great family, but I could only do so much and be in the market so much.
And be a mom.
Yeah.